thank you for tuning in. You're watching The Property Guide on ET Now. This is a comprehensive guide to the property market in India. If you have any questions about buying a home, taking a home loan or getting legal advice, write to us. Our email ID is at the bottom of your screen, propertyguide@et-now.com. On the show this week, the Maharashtra government will put in place a housing regulator by June. We'll find out how this changes life for you and me as home buyers. And in our legal segment, we'll find out what options you have if your builder has delayed delivery. But as always, we have a strong panel of experts working with us. Om Ahuja is the CEO of Residential Services at Jones Lang LaSalle. Jayashree Kurup, Head of Content and Research at magicbricks.com, joins us from Delhi. The both of you, thank you so much for coming in. This is what seems like a really important development, which is why we should talk about it. Important policy move. Maharashtra government has approved setting up a real estate regulator. Now, the bill makes it mandatory for developers to complete disclosures regarding housing projects that they're developing. Take a look at what the bill looks like right now, and then we'll come back and talk about how it will affect our market. Maharashtra will become the first state to have a housing regulator. The Cabinet has cleared the Maharashtra Housing Regulation and Development Act 2012. Under this act, builders who cheat home buyers can be sentenced to a prison term of up to 3 years. Developers who fail to honour their commitments can face fines of up to 1 crore rupees. However, the act will not cover homes built by government agencies like CIDCO and MADA, and it will also not cover redevelopment and slum rehabilitation projects. The act makes it mandatory for builders to disclose the property title, layout and completion plans to home buyers. The details will need to be registered with the regulatory authority and displayed on its website. Builders will be responsible for any defects that crop up in a building during the first 3 years. Buyers will also be refunded with interest in case of delays or non-deliveries. Experts believe the move could bring in greater transparency and curb speculative activity in the sector. However, developers are unhappy with the move. They feel this could cause further delays. The big question we have to ask ourselves right now is, will this regulator have bite in it? Will it stop developers from delaying projects, from not delivering projects, from changing specifications on projects that they have sold, making sure they have all of the clearances they need before they start selling something? Is it going to be able to solve all of those problems that we're facing right now?
I would say doesn't cover most of the problems that are currently being faced by the consumer today, but I think it addresses quite a few of aspects which are currently being faced by most of the buyers today. If you look at any changes being made from the original plan to the revised plan, there is a provision for that. Anything to do with regard to approvals, there is a disclaimer, and to a great extent it is more to make it a public domain presentation. It is there. But there are very few clauses where we see in terms of what is happening today in terms of saleable to carpet, violations in that whole aspect. Is there a penal clause there? What is it a developer has to do in terms of his duties and responsibilities? It's been defined, but it is only in terms of giving amenities and facilities and more to do with that. But what happens if there is a clear deviation from the original proposal to a revised proposal in many aspects, not in specified aspects?
Well, we should be glad about the fact that Maharashtra is the first state in the country to do something like this, and hopefully the other states will also consider it. Jayashree, I know that one of the things that upset you the most are pre-launch sales when builders are selling property that they haven't built at all. How important do you think it is for a regulator to consider maybe putting a stop to pre-launch sales or bringing in regulation to regulate it?
Faye, for a long time, I think the government agencies have been trying to stop this pre-launch. There were some states, such as Rajasthan, which even brought out public notices saying that pre-launch sales are illegal, do not invest in them, and so on. I think, by and large, the idea, we are moving towards a scenario where you cannot sell if you don't have the approvals. Having said which, actually, there is, the bill does not address a certain part of the problem, a very big part of the problem, which is that the development authorities, the municipalities and the urban local bodies sit on approvals for a long, long time. So by the time the developer has started selling, normally they have to wait for 1 to 1.5 years sometimes to get the clearances. During this period, their costs are running up, and that is why the pre-launch sales. In many cases, there is a justifiable reason why the developers are selling it at pre-launch rates, and they're selling it at a discounted rate. Many of the consumers who are buying it buy it fully aware that they are taking a risk, because they do know that pre-launch means that the approvals are not there. I would really say, and this is something I've been maintaining for a long time, the city authorities and the ones who give the approvals should also be within the ambit. CIDCO's out of this, MUDA's out of this, which really means that you're keeping the government sector out and assuming that all developers are the thugs. I would tend to discount that and say that actually the developers are there for the real estate market is.
All right. I also want to ask you this. One thing that we know a lot of customers need, especially in the city of Mumbai, is a redressal mechanism for when they feel they've been wronged by a developer. Do you think this regulator might be able to bring in an ombudsman that actually is able to make an impact?
Always. I think it always happens that most of the guys who actually get cheated, at this point of time, they have to only knock the door of a consumer court, or they have to go and knock the door of the any court in India, which basically can help them in redressal of this process. Whereas this one, where it has clear impact on in terms of developers' future projects can get impacted. We've seen this in most other markets in terms of capital markets. We've seen it in commodity markets. This is an initial step to start with.
In fact, a little later on the show, we have a lawyer coming in talking about what you can do if you find yourself in such a situation. But let's also talk about prevention. And I want advice from both of you for our viewers. If I'm going out right now to buy a home, irrespective of whether this bill comes in or not, what can I do to make sure that I don't find myself in these situations? Can you give us a checklist?
I think 3 things which gives comfort is look at the basic approval in terms of that's commencement certificate from the regulatory authorities, local regulatory municipal authorities, that building has been allowed to be constructed. The second part to it is basically avail, irrespective of whether you need a home loan, you don't need a home loan, please do avail a home loan from a very reputed institution in India. We have seen that multiple banks keep approving projects without doing due diligence, but go for a very reputed institution which does a lot of due diligence before giving home loans. That ensures that what product you're buying, the bank has done the due diligence in terms of funding that project, because bank is putting their own money into this. The third part to this is do some little bit of research on the website in terms of going, and nowadays a Google search in terms of going and checking, is there any blog which is talking negatively about this project? Is there any past track record which is not good enough to bet your money upon this developer? We put it in a simple way. You're buying a home. You're not buying stress.
It might also make sense to go to a building that the developer has built in the past, ring the doorbell, meet someone who lives there, find out if they've had any trouble. Jayashree, do you want to give us your checklist of what we can do to be careful when we're buying property?
Please check what the prices in the locality are and tally the prices against what prices you are buying at. That would be one level of check. The second one is check out the specifications that are being given and check out whether those specifications match the price that you're getting. The third is always check the track record of the developer, how he has delivered in the past, how consumers have been happy with him. And like Om said, do check track blogs and so on. They give you a lot of information about what's happening with that developer and his projects.
All right, so that was an entire checklist from both of our guests on what you can do. And if you have any questions about what you heard, feel free to write to us. Email ID is at the bottom of your screen. Let's take some questions. Raj writes in. He wants to buy a 700 to 800 square foot home in Chembur in Mumbai. He has a budget of 70 to 75 lakh rupees. He shortlisted some areas near Amar Cinema and Chembur Garden. He wants to know if this would work out. He'd have to go towards Tilak Nagar, right, in order to find something?
The areas identified are primarily he's spot on there. I think next to Amar Mahal or maybe towards Tilak Nagar, that's the area where he can look at something similar in terms of budget. Anywhere ranging between 9,000 to 14,000 rupees is the rate in that pocket, right from Tilak Nagar to Chembur. I think he will have to settle between B or C grade developers there. It may be very difficult for him to get a grade developer at this kind of budget.
There is only one A grade developer in that neighborhood right now. But the pricing is very different, like you said. For those of our viewers who are unaware, put it on your screen. Godrej Properties has launched a project there where Pricing is upwards of 1.8 CR, if I'm not mistaken, for a 2-bedroom, and then it moves upwards that way. So tell me this, if he goes in and he buys in Chembur near Tilak Nagar, in the specifications that he's put down, what sort of appreciation can he expect? Will it appreciate the same way as the other end of Chembur East?
I would say Chembur happens to be your best pick at this point of time in terms of infrastructure. Considering people who are working in BKC and with the Santa Cruz Chembur link road going live, we would see that people can commute from Chembur to BKC in few minutes, and that will actually be changing the whole scenario in Tilak Nagar and Chembur. In terms of other connectivity like monorail, which will eventually connect to Jacob Circle, and freeway from Chembur to town, that will be these are key developments of Chembur what makes us feel comfortable about it.
All right, Raj. So the only thing you'll have to settle on is the carpet area. You said 700. What's available is about 450 to 500. But think of it as super built up to carpet, which is what normally happens when you buy in this city. Pooja has written in. She wants to buy an apartment for end use in Navi Mumbai, budget of 55 lakh rupees inclusive of everything. Give me locations and projects to invest in. But she has said end use. So, Jayashree, if you look at the website right now, what can she find in Navi Mumbai? What locations will she have to look at?
If you look at a 2 BHK in Navi Mumbai, you can get it in Panvel, Ulve or Kharghar. The other ones were 2 to 3 BHK. Now you can get Panvel, Ulve or Kharghar. You can get a 1 to 2 BHK apartment of about 650 to 1000 square feet in this price range. Again, rental return would be roughly about 1000 in Panvel, 1000 to 1200 or so, and you should be able to get about 7000 to 9000 in Kharghar. I'm sorry, it is 10,000 to 12,000 in Panvel.
All right, so options are on your screen. If you need any more advice as a woman buying a home, feel free to get in touch with us. Quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about Mysore and find out if you should be investing in the city at all. And we'll then also meet with our lawyers. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide in ET Now. Thank you for staying with us. Both of our guests are with us as well, helping us make smart decisions when it comes to buying property. Now, continuing our focus on Tier 2 cities, we're looking at Mysore this week, the second largest hub for IT in Karnataka after Bangalore. But does that mean that it's offering Bangalore some sort of competition as a real estate hub as well? We'll find out. First, Avan is here with an update on what the property prices look like in Mysore, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Thanks for that, Faye. Now, home prices in the IT hub of Mysore have witnessed a steady up move over the past 2 years. The home prices in JP Nagar have seen a sharp 37% rise over the last 2 years. The homes here are currently quoting at an average of 3,350 rupees per square foot, among the cheapest locations in the city. The fast developing suburb of Vijayanagar Extension has seen home prices rise by 27% in just 1 year. The homes here are currently priced at an average of 3,400 rupees per square foot compared to 2,675 rupees per square foot in 2013. Jayalakshmipuram, which is close to the famous Mysore Palace, has seen a 31% rise in the home prices over the last 2 years. The home prices here are currently at an average of 4,325 rupees per square foot, among the most expensive locations in the city. Homes in Yadavgiri are also currently quoting at an average of 4,325 rupees per square foot, a 2% decline in 1 year. Homes in VV Mohalla, which is seeing a steady property development, are currently priced at an average of 4,125 rupees per square foot, an increase of 34% in 2 years. With that, it's back to you, Faye.
All right, Avan, thank you for that update. But we saw, Om, at one point when Infosys put up that really impressive campus in Mysore, a lot of their employees opted to move from Bangalore to Mysore, and there was a lot of noise about that city. That noise has died down quite considerably, hasn't it?
It has. I guess with the revival in the IT sector today, what we see is many companies are hiring, expanding, and a lot more action in what we see in this space. In terms of choice, yes, when it comes to Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, it makes sense that, look at cities where there is already an investment of an IT company. So considering at this point of time that Infosys already has a large campus, Wipro has a campus in Mysore. But the challenge has been last 3-4 years with IT going through a very tough space. The expansions have not happened. currently in current scheme of things, if things go well, I think Mysore will be an added advantage when it is compared to a city like Coimbatore or a city like Kochi, considering that there is already an investment of these two large companies there.
Jayashree, let's also talk to end users who possibly live in Mysore or whose hometown is Mysore, so they're looking to buy there. What's your advice for them? What location should they focus on at this point? Hunsur Road, the entire stretch of Hunsur Road, where you have the IT corridor, that is where you can pick up. Like Om said, it's not very active right now, but if activity starts, that is where you should see a lot of action. Therefore, Hunsur Road, and that would be, I think, Vijayanagara, Hubli, these are areas where you will see some amount of traction in Mysore. There is also the Hebal Industrial Estate, where we've seen a lot of action around the residential markets there. And these are both places where there are economic drivers. So if you're buying today for future returns, I think these are the areas that are going to pick up first.
All right, let's put emotions aside. If you're looking purely at investments, the first option obviously is Bangalore. And Bangalore is available at various ticket sizes right now. If I don't want to invest in Bangalore, then there's Hyderabad, there's Vizag, there's Coimbatore, there's Kochi, there's Mysore, and there's Mangalore as well. Of all of these options, if I was making a purely unemotional investment, where would you focus, our energy?
I think very good question, Faye. I think one needs to be very clear whether this is an investment and this is an investment with regard to returns. And I would say today, as we speak, Bangalore would be the #1 choice. And in Bangalore specifically, Whitefield is a steal. We don't see any downside in terms of costs from here. Whitefield is a blind bet. At this price, you will not go wrong. Take a 5 to 7 year view. I think it's a steal. Don't even explore cities outside like tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities. There is immense value currently available in Bangalore, followed by Hyderabad and followed by Chennai. At this stage, I think keeping emotions away, I think restrict yourself to pockets which can look like dark horses, and those dark horses are to a great extent Whitefield, and to an extent it's Hebal and Sajapur Road and Outer Ring Road.
If you're emotional about the city of Mysore and you're looking to buy a home, we've put together a list of recommendations of projects within Mysore that you can take a look at. Here you go. If you're looking to buy property in Mysore, here are some options. Diwan's Park View by Precinct Projects, Manasa by Vastava, Greens Phase 3 by Yesh Developers, Shri Saptamaturka Layout by ESS Infrastructure, Green Grass by Foundations, and finally Nice Vistas by Blue Valley Properties. Right, time for more questions. A.S. Murthy has written in. He wants to buy property in Bangalore with a budget of 15 lakh rupees. Investment horizon of 3 to 5 years. Give him a few options. Now, I said various ticket sizes, but is 15 lakh too low for Bangalore?
I would say that he can find something which is plotted development in outskirts of city in terms of far from city municipal limits. But I think that will be a very risky investment. I would rather say, expand the budget a little more and look at something which is basically within the city, or maybe it is something called where it's a livable option. There are many options in Whitefield, little outskirts of Whitefield. You can still find options, but you'll have to expand the budget.
All right, it's way too low a budget, unfortunately. Get back in touch with us if you want more advice. Satish has written in, wants to buy property in Chennai, budget of 65 to 70 lakh rupees. He's looking for projects that will offer him 30% appreciation over the next 5 years. Now, going by the last answer you gave us, obviously 30% 5 years, that doesn't seem like a very hard ask for Chennai.
Absolutely. I think Chennai is a very promising city at this point of time. When it comes to the IT corridor there, I think with the budget what it's mentioned, I guess he can find many options. Among the options, I would restrict myself to good names, and the good names would be Embassy, good names would be Purvankara, good names can be many more, but end of the day, go for a project which is ready. At this budget, you can find something which is almost ready, and phase 2, phase 3 is getting delivered. Hospitals, schools, many things which are in the vicinity. And my view is the best pick at this budget is Embassy.
All right. Jayashree, do you want to concur? Is there anything else you found on the website other than Embassy?
On the website, I see many local builders, Anu Builders, RS Construction, CP Builders, Mirtika. These are all local city builders, and they give a lot of options. You can get these options at Saidapet, Velachery, Annanagar, Ponnamali, OMR, Mugaper, Porur. So there are lots of options. But if you have to go for a big name, you should be searching for properties a little further away. Om and Jayashree, thank you so much for joining us this week and answering all of our questions. When we come back, we'll have a lawyer join us. He'll tell us what we can do if builders have delayed delivery of your project. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide on ET Now. Thank you for staying with us. It's time for us to sit down with our lawyer. Hemang, thank you for joining us. Hemang, we've got so many questions for you. Arun has written in. He tells us that he booked 3 apartments at Supertech's Renisa project. This is in Noida. The company failed to launch the original project. It rebranded it as Romano and launched it again. Now, the Romano project had different specifications and different prices. He now wants to exit the project and get a refund, but the builder is refusing to return his money or to cancel his booking. What are his options right now as a customer? Hemang, what can he do?
In this case, where the builder has changed the dimensions, the project as well as the amenities and facilities, he cannot compel the flat purchasers to accept what he is now proposing to sell. The flat purchaser should first give a legal notice to the builder developer stating categorically that an agreement has been reached between the builder and himself, and that if he does not give him the said flat in the project as promised, then he would be taking a legal recourse. Now, since the builder is not giving the refund, then the flat purchaser should approach the consumer forums and file a private complaint, a consumer complaint in the consumer forum, and narrate all this arbitrary and high-handed approach of the builder and seek compensation as well as refund along with interest, and the consumer forums will definitely give him the money paid by him along with interest as well as compensation for mental agony and harassment.
Another unhappy customer, Mahesh, writes in. He's an NRI based out of Canada. He bought 2 properties from the MRMGF project in Mahali in Chandigarh. He tells us the builder was supposed to deliver the properties in 2009, but the builder has no fixed date of delivery right now. And there have been delays after delays. He's completed all of his payments so far. He wants to know what options he has right now as a customer.
Now, in this case, there has been a delay since 2009. The flat purchaser has to first give a legal notice calling upon the developer builder to give the possession at the earliest. And in spite of the legal notice, if the builder developer does not give any concrete time frame, then the flat purchaser should approach the consumer forum, which is falling under the said jurisdiction, file a consumer complaint, file also an interim application under 13(3)(b), thereby taking protection of not to create any third party right on the flat which is proposed to be sold to him, and pray that for the delayed in giving possession as promised in the agreement, for such a delay compensation should be given to him, which many times the consumer forum gives on a day-to-day basis, month-to-month basis, till the time the possession is given to him. Also, he can ask for mental agony and harassment as compensation.
All right, Hemang, many thanks for joining us and answering our questions. Now, if you have a legal problem that you'd like Hemang to look after, or if you have a tax issue that you want our tax expert to look at, send us an email on the email ID that's at the bottom of your screen. You can also reach me on Twitter. That's on your screen as well. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching.